Good day, everyone, and hope you're keeping well. Welcome back to another module of AkzoNobel's e-learning program that we're running throughout the months of April and May. I hope you've found these webinars useful so far, and we welcome any feedback that you might have to improve these. My name is Suman Bhatt, and I work as a sub-segment manager at AkzoNobel's Marine and Protective Coatings business unit. Today, I'm going to talk to you about Interzone 954GF, which is a class-leading glass flake epoxy that we've launched in recent years. The agenda for today's webinar, I will start with a brief look at Interzone 954 and the heritage that comes with that product. We will then delve a little deeper into the GF version or a glass flake version of this product. I'll give you a glimpse of some of the testing that we have behind this product and a few examples of where it's been used successfully. And as always, I'll end with a quick summary of what we've discussed. I'm sure some of you will be familiar with Interzone 954, but for those of you who aren't, I'll give you a brief look back into this product, which has been one of our best-selling products for decades. As seen on this slide, Interzone 954 was first launched in 1986. It was initially formulated for use on offshore platform legs. Those are the structures that you see here in this photograph. The structures in orange at the bottom of the platform that are supporting the platform and anchoring it to the seabed, those are the platform legs or jackets. Now, this is one of the harshest exposures that you can come across in protective coatings. Platform legs or platform jackets are exposed to what we call splash zone conditions. That is, they are intermittently exposed to seawater immersion and atmospheric exposure. In addition, they also experience a high level of abrasion and impact from debris in the water, as well as from support boats that often knock into them. And Interzone 954 has proven itself in such conditions for over 3 decades, and that is a testament to its corrosion protection properties, including impact and abrasion resistance, as well as cathodic disbondment properties. In addition to excellent long-term performance, it also has extremely good application properties, and that makes it a really good choice for both new construction and maintenance end users. It has excellent high build capability, good surface tolerance, including tolerance of damp surfaces, and excellent early water resistance. These attributes make it an ideal for use as a single coat maintenance product. In such challenging environments, that can really save our customers a lot of time and money. It is also a product well liked by applicators the world over, and that, I must admit, is an exception in the industry and not the rule. Given that it is so well liked by both applicators as well as owners, it is little surprise that it's been one of the most widely used products across all our market segments. And to date, we have over 85 million square meters of steel which have been protected using Interzone 954, which is by far the most of any heavy duty product in the protective coatings world. A key challenge for us in upgrading our heavy duty product offer was then to introduce a glass flake epoxy, which retained all these characteristics of Interzone 954 that customers love, with an additional enhancement of the right loading of glass flake pigmentation to provide improved performance. And that's what we've tried to do with Interzone 954GF. So as you may have guessed by the name, it retains the basic formulation backbone of Interzone 954. and all of the great application properties and excellent corrosion performance of the original product. A question that some of you might be asking yourselves now is, if the original product performed so well, then why do we need a glass flake version at all? And that's what I'll try to answer in this section. So to answer that question, I'll take a couple of minutes to talk about how glass flake pigmentation works. Glass is an inert material, by which I mean it does not react or dissolve with any of the harmful chemicals that we commonly come across in our industry. And that's one of the reasons that that test tubes and beakers in chemistry labs are still made of glass rather than plastic. So addition of glass flake pigmentation in a coating increases its permeation resistance to ions such as chlorides and sulfides. But for the glass flake pigmentation in coatings to work, we look for two things. First, the geometry of the glass flakes needs to be flat or lamellar. As you can see in the diagram here, a lamellar glass flake pigmentation will offer much higher resistance to permeation than a more spherical pigment. And second, the alignment of the glass flakes is important. They need to be aligned parallel or as close to parallel as possible to the substrate to provide maximum impedance to permeation of ions. As you can see in the photograph of the cross section of a scheme of Interzone 954GF, it employs the use of high aspect ratio lamellar glass flakes, which line up mostly parallel to the substrate. In this cross section, the system that we've used is two coats of 250 microns each of Interzone 954GF, and that's applied on a blasted steel substrate. The cross section also gives you a glimpse into the proportion of glass flake pigmentation in the product. In the case of 954GF, the glass flake pigmentation is 10% by volume. As the bullet point here says, the proportion of glass flake, what we refer to as loading, is critical. Too low and it is insufficient to provide any enhanced properties at all. We see several products on the market that claim to be glass flake epoxies, which have less than 3% glass flake pigmentation. At those low levels, they really don't make any difference to the performance of the product. On the other hand, if you go too high, then you lose out on the application properties of the product, as there isn't enough resin to be able to flow out and wet the substrate well. Over the years, we've found that 10% glass flake content provides the optimal balance between the two. And in this way, we've been able to retain all of the excellent characteristics of the original 954 with the added benefit of enhanced corrosion and abrasion resistance from the glass flake loading. A final point I'd like to highlight on this slide is that the thickness of the glass flakes are about 2 to 2.5 microns, which we found gives us the optimal results in terms of parallel orientation of the flakes. As a result, we've got Interzone 954GF, which provides all the great application properties that our customers love about Interzone 954 with the enhanced corrosion protection that the glass flake brings with it. In this section, we will take a closer look at the features and benefits of the product. This slide gives you a snapshot of the features and benefits of the product. First, which we've already discussed, it's based on the Interzone 954 technology platform, and that brings with it decades of proven performance and application properties. We've just discussed the lamellar glass flake pigmentation, and that gives us confidence in the long-term corrosion performance of the product, which has been borne out by the fact that it performs extremely well in accelerated corrosion tests. We haven't discussed yet that the direct to metal application properties of Interzone 954GF are excellent. So we get well over 10 MPa in adhesion values direct to steel. It is tolerant of poorly prepared substrates such as power tool cleaning, hydrojetting, etc. It can also adhere well to existing aged coatings, which makes it a very good maintenance product as well. And that is a benefit because it reduces the need for primers, which increases productivity both in new construction as well as in maintenance, which at the end of the day reduces cost to our customers. It has very good compatibility with cathodic protection, and that is extremely important when used in immersion services in things like offshore platform jackets and FPSO hulls, etc. As we've discussed previously, the 10% lamellar glass flake pigmentation provides excellent impact and abrasion resistance, and that ensures long-term performance, especially in offshore projects, but also in areas such as slurry tanks and in the mining industry where abrasion can be a huge factor. It has a very smooth appearance, which is unusual for a glass flake epoxy. And in fact, application-wise, it is almost identical to Interzone 954. And that provides a much more aesthetically pleasing finish compared to other glass flake epoxies on the market. We've discussed previously the enhanced corrosion resistance that glass flake pigmentation provides. This has been borne out by the fact that Interzone 954 has shown exceptional results in accelerated tests. In fact, in the pre-qualification tests for NORSOK, it performs to a level that meets the criteria expected of zinc-rich primed systems, which gives us the confidence that it can provide very long-term durability in the harshest of environments. On this slide, we can see how some of the application properties of the product save our customers time and money. We've already talked about the excellent application characteristics of the product, but here I will concentrate on three aspects of that. First, the product has excellent direct to metal application properties, both in new construction and maintenance, which is unusual for a glass flake epoxy. Second, it has fast cure and low temperature cure down to -5 degrees C or 23 Fahrenheit, which can be very useful in cold weather conditions. And third, it has a wide overcoating window, both minimum overcoating as well as maximum overcoating, as well as good compatibility with a range of top coats. The chart on the left of the screen, which has a blue background, shows the applied cost per square meter of an Interzone 954GF system compared with what we term as a traditional glass flake system, which is one that doesn't have great application properties that we discussed and usually needs to be primed with a typical primer like a zinc-rich primer or in some cases an epoxy primer. As you can see, the elimination of a need for a primer reduces material cost by about 20% when using the Interzone 954GF system without any detriment to performance. Similarly, on the right of the screen, we can see the application of the Interzone 954 is a lot faster. Again, because of the elimination of a need for a primer. This is even more acutely relevant in maintenance scenarios where Interzone 954GF can be immersed in as little as 2 hours after application, which can save a huge amount of time and money in offshore applications and areas like jetties. As previously discussed, we believe that the selection of a 10% of the glass flake pigmentation level has resulted in a product that is just as easy to apply as the original Interzone 954. Spray tests in our labs as well as in customer shops has confirmed that this is the case, and Interzone 954 is easy to spray out, quite uniform, and gives us a smooth and glossy appearance after cure. So just to reiterate, Interzone 954GF is a glass flake epoxy for customers who are looking for enhanced corrosion protection with all of the great application benefits of the original Interzone 954. We've discussed in detail about how the glass flake pigmentation has provided enhanced corrosion resistance properties, including abrasion, impact, and permeation resistance. We've also discussed how the great application properties and surface tolerance properties can benefit our customers. We believe this makes Interzone 954GF the perfect choice for protecting assets in a wide range of industries in both new construction as well as maintenance scenarios. In this section, we will delve a little deeper into the test data that we have for the product, as well as look at a few examples in diverse applications where Interzone 954 has been used. So first, to the test data, the technical confidence in the product has been built through extensive testing, both in-house as well as at third-party laboratories. One of the key tests that we've used is the cyclic corrosion test as per ISO 12944 Part 9, which was previously known as ISO 20340. We at AkzoNobel believe cyclic corrosion testing is more representative of real-world exposure than static corrosion tests. Each cycle of the ISO 12944 involves 3 days of UV condensation exposure, followed by 3 days of salt spray as per ISO 9227, followed by a day at low temperature exposure at minus 20 degrees C. And that's the figure that you see at the bottom of the screen. For offshore end users, this cycle is repeated 25 times or 25 weeks. And as we can see on the table on the right, those are the requirements for a system to pass the ISO 12944 test regime. So less than 3 mm corrosion creep for zinc-rich primed systems and less than 8 mm corrosion creep for epoxy systems, and no blistering, no rusting, no cracking, and an adhesion value of greater than 5 MPa pull-off adhesion and less than 50% reduction of adhesion from the prior to test to after aging. As mentioned previously, the product has had extensive in-house and third-party testing. NORSOK System 1 is a widely used industry standard for atmospheric exposure in offshore end users, especially in oil and gas. One example of Interzone 954 GF system tested as per NORSOK System 1 is this one shown on screen here. Which is a coat of 954 GF at 350 microns, followed by a polyurethane top coat, Interthane 990 at 60 microns. This system has performed extremely well in the cyclic aging test, and the corrosion creep result was less than 3 mm, which, as I mentioned in the previous slide, is the requirement for a zinc primed system. The panels that you see on screen, the one on the left is with the adhesion results prior to testing or prior to aging, and the other 3 panels show the results after the 25 weeks aging. As you can see, the pull-off adhesion values are very good and virtually unchanged after 25 weeks aging, which shows that the film hasn't weakened after going through the entire 25 cycles of the ISO 12944 test. NORSOK System 7A is used as an industry standard for offshore systems in splash zone exposure. So this is typically things like FPSO hulls or the foundations of offshore wind turbines and areas like that. The system here with two coats of Interzone 954GF at 300 microns each was tested as a third party as per the requirements of NORSOK System 7A. The test involves the same cyclic aging test that we saw in the previous slide. In addition, it also undergoes long-term seawater immersion as well as a cathodic disbondment test. Interzone 954GF has performed extremely well in all these tests and has been approved as per NORSOK System 7E. Here are some panels that were put through the cathodic disbondment test. Again, Interzone 954GF has shown extremely good performance with zero disbondment. And this is an important test to prove compatibility with cathodic protection, which is often required in immersion conditions. This slide summarizes the third-party testing that we have for Interzone 954GF. As you can see from the table, we have approvals for all the key NORSOK systems. System 1 for atmospheric exposure, System 4 for decks, System 7A for splash zones, and System 7B for immersion. The System 1 and System 7A schemes have performed to a level expected of zinc-rich primed systems, which is to say with less than 3 mm corrosion creep from the scribe in the cyclic aging test. A key part of the technical confidence that we build in products is to correlate the accelerated corrosion testing to natural weathering exposure in climates that mimic real-world exposures. In this slide, we can see a coastal exposure site that we own in the northeast of the UK, which is representative of a typical C5 or coastal atmosphere. As you can see from the photos of the panels on the right, there was no corrosion on the panels that have been exposed for 14 months at this coastal exposure site. And these panels had a scribe in them, which is meant to mimic damage in transportation and handling that we typically see in new construction projects. In addition to the coastal exposure sites, we also have panels of Interzone 954GF on exposure on an offshore buoy, which we monitor every 6 months or so, as well as on a cliff face exposure site, which mimics splash zone conditions. All of the results from these exposure sites do show that Interzone 954GF performs as well as can be expected from a high build class flake epoxy product. Now we move on to a few track records of projects where Interzone 954GF has been used. I've picked 3 different applications to give you a flavor of the diverse and stringent end users where the product has been used. First is the one that you see on this slide. It's an offshore wind project where Interzone 954GF has been used on both the atmospheric as well as immersion areas of the offshore wind turbines and foundations. And as you can see in the table here, more than 100,000 liters of the product has been used. So a very large scale application for an offshore wind farm. The next one is from the mining industry in Australia, and this is an example of use as an internal tank lining for a slurry tank. As you can imagine, a slurry tank is one of the most aggressive environments in terms of abrasion. Interzone 954GF was chosen because of its excellent abrasion resistance properties, as well as its high build capability. That allows a very thick coat to be applied on with relatively few coats. As mentioned here on this slide, the applicator was very pleased with the product's application characteristics, and it's a real compliment when they say that it applies as well as Interzone 954. The final example that we have from a track record is again from the mining industry in Australia. This is an example of where it was used in a maintenance situation for a stacker boom. Again, a very abrasive area where iron pellets flow over the stacker boom when loading iron ore onto transport vessels. Interzone 954GF was once again chosen because of its excellent abrasion and impact resistance characteristics, as well as its application friendliness in maintenance situations. We're coming towards the end of this webinar now, and we'll finish with a quick summary of what we've covered today. So Interzone 954GF is a glass flake epoxy, and it is based on the proven technology of Interzone 954. Its excellent corrosion performance has been borne out in laboratory tests, as well as natural weathering exposure, as well as with in-field performance from the applications that we've had so far. The direct to metal application properties are great for both new construction and maintenance situations. And the increased time to first maintenance is due to the excellent corrosion performance, as well as the excellent impact and abrasion resistance that the product has. It does have very good aesthetics and is pretty much indistinguishable from Interzone 954 when applied, which is to say it looks very good. And in summary, we believe that Interzone 954GF is probably the best glass flake epoxy that you can find on the market and does save customers a lot of time and money. Thank you very much for your attention today, and we wish you all the best.